Hey Dean, how's it going?
Not too bad. I think this is the first chance we've actually had to actually speak, eh?
Yeah, nice to talk to you.
Nice, no kidding. Yeah. Oh boy, dude, there's so much you guys are missing then. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. I didn't know there was a difference.
Oh my God, there's a huge difference. Have you ever noticed that when the inner city of London, when they're having special events, the Queen has to ask permission to enter that section of the city?
Oh yeah, I've heard about that, yeah.
Okay, that's because she's not sovereign there. The inner city of London is sovereign. It's a sovereign of its own.
Oh.
Okay, now when the crown brings a charge against you, it's not a representative of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth of the House of Windsor. The crown is the short form of the Crown Corporation, which is
Oh.
Her Majesty in Right of England. That is not Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. That is the Crown Corporation, the sovereign independent nation of London.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so you can ask them that. When the Crown brings a charge against you, say, "Excuse me, I need to clarify something. Are you a representative of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth of the House of Windsor, who's sworn to uphold God's laws, or are you the Crown in right of the Crown being Her Majesty in Right of England, which is the Crown Corporation of the inner city and independent nation of London?"
So Her Majesty of the House of Windsor is the actual woman, is that what you mean?
That's the actual woman who swore an oath when she accepted the crown.
Right.
The other crown is a fake crown. It's a crown corporation.
Right. But it's still called Her Majesty, even though it's a corporation.
Of course, because technically it's spelled in all capital letters.
Oh, I see. So that's the entity that brings all the, like you said, the summary,
Yes,
complaints.
absolutely. Summary convictions, which is, I went back and I started reading 200-year-old banking manuals about a year ago. And I discovered that what they call summary judgment or
Yeah.
summary convictions
Yeah.
back in the day used to be called summary execution of mercantile instruments.
Oh.
So they are summarily executing what they claim are debt instruments against you. The problem is the debt instruments don't exist and they're not real because there's no debt. But we're not addressing that issue. We're pleading guilty or not guilty. Okay? So this is very big now. You can shut quotation marks the crown down in a second by asking them to clarify who they are. Because as soon as you clarify that it's not Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth of the House of Windsor, now it's a corporation and they can only enforce contracts against you. Now you ask for the contract.
Right.
No
Oh,
contract, no obligation.
oh, I see. Yeah, it makes it so they're actually it's all based on a breach of contract implied.
Absolutely an implied contract that they cannot produce.
Right.
And if they did produce it, they would admit to the fraud that's being carried out.
Yeah, because then why? Because then there would be a distinction between Her Majesty and Her Majesty.
Not only that, but then they would admit that the driver's license is contractual in nature. And if you
Right.
don't have one, they can't charge you.
Right. Yeah, because then it would be clear that it's all based on consent, etc.
They are fucked either way.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense.
Tell me that just opened up a whole world of possibilities.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not sure how I'd go about it exactly, but that opens up a lot of.
Well, it's very simple. Now when you get a ticket or a charge against you, right? You contact the Crown and you say, "Excuse me, I need to clarify exactly who you are.
Yeah.
Are you representing Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth of the House of Windsor, or are you representing Her Majesty in Right of England, which I believe to be a crown corporation of the inner city of London, the independent nation?" Say, if that is the case, I'm sorry, I don't have a contract with you. I believe you're mistaken. If you're claiming that there is a contract in place, please produce it within the next 10 business days. Otherwise, we have no further business together.
Nice.
Now, when they don't reply, you inform the courts of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are they going to say to that?
Well, they didn't reply, so you win by default, I guess.
Fuck yeah, yeah. This corporation, the Crown Corporation, known as Her Majesty and Right of England, has agreed with me that we don't have a contract, so they have no jurisdiction to prosecute.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
Right. So now your problem isn't with the courts. Your problem is with this entity called the Crown that you believed up until 5 minutes ago was an agent of Her Majesty the Queen in Elizabeth of the House of Windsor.
Right.
I mean, if you look at any statute that's passed in the UK, I guarantee it says by and with the advice of council or something, or enacted by Her Majesty and Right of England or something like that, right?
Yeah, at the top, yeah.
Does it ever say enacted by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth of the House of Windsor?
I don't think so.
Fuck no, it does not. Because that's not who it is.
Right. I see. So I guess I need to go away and look into this thing. I didn't even know there was a thing called what was it? In Right of England?
Her Majesty the Queen in Right of England.
I never heard of that before, so I need to go away and look into that then.
Yes, and I know about that here in Canada because that's who enacted the Canada Act of 1982, which is our Constitution.
Oh, right.
Right? They're all sub-corporations of the corporation, which is the inner city of London. That's the commercial center of the planet for their criminal enterprise.
Oh, I see. So Her Majesty the Corporation in Right of England is under the Corporation of London. Is that what you're saying?
It is the Corporation of London. That's what the name they go by.
Oh, I see. I see. In fact, I don't know if this is relevant, but when you go into London, I don't know if you've been there, and you go
Nope.
into the inner city, it actually says there's actually a sign that says you're entering the corporation, the city or the corporation. It actually says Corporation of London or something.
There you go. That's what Her Majesty is. That's what the Crown is.
Right.
It's the inner city of London, the sovereign independent nation of London. I think Max Egan's videos talk about this.
I'm not familiar with him. Who's that?
Oh, geez, I did an interview with him just a couple of days ago. He's got this wonderful website called thecrowhouse.ca or .com.
Oh, yeah, I think I know the guy you mean. The same woman was interviewing him as well. Is that right?
I believe so, yeah. Now,
Yeah.
those are some videos you should watch because he talks about that.
Right.
Specifically, that is your entire argument done right there.
Nice.
It's easier for you guys because you guys are at ground zero. We got a whole chain we have to follow all the way back to them to prove it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are fucking ground zero.
Yeah. Let me see if I can bring up this picture. I want to send it to you. This picture where it's on the wall and it's got a dragon. It says the Corporation of London.
There you go, and it's 1 square mile of downtown London, correct?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
That is the Crown.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
The Crown Corporation.
So, when it comes to human rights and stuff,
Yep.
so the Queen, as in the woman herself, she swore an oath to. How does that relate? I'm not exactly clear how it ties in.
The one and the two are good because technically speaking, she by assuming the crown, she swore to be the defender of all faiths and the defender of the common law, right?
Okay, right, yeah.
That's where your human rights come in. She's the defender of all that.
Oh, I see, but not the corporations.
Fuck no. No, they're the opposite of whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they swore an oath to fuck you over and steal from you and screw you out of everything that you're worth. That's what their oath is.
Right.
You taking off, Mark? You gonna be at home a little bit? I'm probably gonna pop by. Cool.
I see, I see. Yeah. Yeah, and
There's
in America, they've got like the 14th Amendment citizen type of thing,
yes, the
which is
creation.
like
Yeah,
that's like the entity, under the government as opposed to one of the people above the government, right?
yeah. That created basically a civil servant.
Right. Yeah, like you say, a government employee or something to that effect, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the equivalent of that is here in England. I'm not sure how to equate that to our system.
Well, I would say citizenship is the same thing.
Oh, I see. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, citizenship is see, you guys aren't really any longer. You're not citizens of England that the Queen is in control of. You're now citizens of the Crown Corporation.
I see. Yeah. Yeah.
That's only if you choose to operate under that, correct?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Just because I have a license doesn't mean I'm doing that at all times.
Right. Yeah.
I have a license to operate a citizenship under that corporation, but I'm not. It's there, but I'm not using it.
Yeah, you don't have to be in that capacity all the time every.
Of course not. And if
Right.
I am, where's the contract? Because they have to contract with you for a specific duty. It can't be just a blanket contract. Oh, you're a citizen whether you're sleeping or awake.
Yeah. Yeah.
What service did I provide? What did you pay me? Where's
Yeah.
the contract?
Yeah.
I'm only answerable to you when I'm on the books, when I'm on your time, when
Yeah.
I'm being paid to be on your time. When I'm not to be paid on your time, I'm just a private man gaining a livelihood in the private sector, which means my human rights now apply.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck can they say to that?
And it's like you said, I heard you say on one of the things, like the jurisdiction is like a, what did you call it? Like a sales zone or a trading zone or something
Yeah,
like,
it's like a sales territory.
yeah, sales territory. That, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, of course.
yeah,
I can start a corporation tomorrow and say my sales territory is all of Canada, and then print up a map of Canada and show my entire authority for what's underneath my company.
yeah,
This is my sales territory. So anybody that contracts with my company within this landmass is under my jurisdiction.
yeah,
That's all they're doing.
yeah, yeah. Wow, it's crystal clear when you put it like that, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? It's so fucking simple. It just about makes you sick that we've been missing it.
Yeah, yeah, it's dead simple. Yeah, it's just like a company. It's just company and company employees and anybody, subcontractors is, yeah,
Yep. When it's their business, they have jurisdiction over it within that territory.
yeah,
When it's their business, but their business is not your business, and your business is not their business unless you two have a contract where your business is their business.
yeah, yeah. Wow, yeah,
Uh,
crystal clear.
Fuck, I hope so, man, because people need to start getting this shit figured out and doing something because shit is going down.
So what's your feelings about the near future, like the next couple of years? Do you think, what's going to
I
happen?
have some very positive vibes on this awakening that's going on right now, and that's even a very spiritual kind of thing I'm believing in right now. A lot to do with the 2012 stuff, eh?
Yeah.
I think there's a mass spiritual awakening going on.
I agree, and I definitely think, like, so many people are sharing information now, via YouTube and via Facebook, and the information spreads so quickly, like your stuff, like a couple of months ago, there, nobody heard of you, and then there's some videos online, and all of a sudden there's like 80,000 views already in no time.
Yeah, I think 83 as of this morning.
Yeah, exactly. It's great, isn't it?
Well, that's insane because, again, 3 months ago, I was just getting tired of the fact that nobody in my group here in Winnipeg was really learning or doing anything because they were just having these really stupid cafe meetings at this coffee shop where they would just get around and they would start discussing, like, conspiracy theories and stuff, right? And I just finally said to him, I go, fuck. I said, guys, like, there's stuff we got to get done here. Do you guys want to start having like a meeting at my office? I'm going to start putting on a meeting on Tuesdays. If you guys want to show up, we'll do a workshop and we'll start teaching this stuff. And they're like, oh, okay. So 10 guys show up, and this old fart who's about 76, he's just an awesome guy. This guy named Ed. He shows up with like this movie director's chair and a tripod and a camera that he bought on Kijiji for like $300, and he goes, Dean, is it all right if I record this so I can take it home and watch it because I have trouble understanding when you're speaking sometimes, so I want to watch it over and over again. I'm like, yeah, sure, man, go ahead. So he gives me this little microphone and he records it, and then a couple of guys from the meeting watched it, and they're like, dude, we should put that on YouTube. And I'm like, all right. And so, bam, here we are. 6 weeks later, I'm doing interviews all over the fucking world, and 83,000 fucking views on the videos on the channel.
Yeah.
Well, that's insane. I didn't know people were this. Honestly, I got to tell you, I'm shocked because I've watched a couple of your videos there. I can't believe that you, and I'm not, I don't mean this to sound insulting. I was not aware that you were not aware of the differences between Her Majesty and Her Majesty.
No, no, that's right.
Because that's the whole game for you guys. That's it. It's done at that point.
Yeah.
If they are not Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth of the House of Windsor, then who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
And what the fuck makes you think you have jurisdiction over me?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's done. It's done. It doesn't get any more simple than that. Right? Then it comes down to contract law. There's 3 parts of contract law. Consent, full disclosure, and valuable consideration. Did I consent to this? Was I aware of all the terms, and how much am I being paid?
Mm.
I'm exchanging my labor for something in return, which is payment, or whatever the terms of the contract are, but both parties have to get something out of a contract.
Right.
Right? So now, if you're not the Queen, if you're not Queen Elizabeth, then you're a corporation. If you're a corporation, where's the contract?
Mm.
And how much was I paid? And when are you claiming I was supposed to do this work? And what was I supposed to do for you?
Yeah.
Right? Well, they're done now. They're done.
Right.
Game over.
Yeah. I think as well as knowing that, I think there's a little bit of knowledge just to do with like court procedure and just knowing where to send what that I still need to learn. But you know,
Yeah, well,
in order to implement that kind
well,
of thing.
just like I talk in the videos, you got to contact these people calling themselves the Crown.
Right.
You got to contact them. And they got like probably a Crown Prosecution Service, just like they do over here, probably right in the court building.
Yeah, yeah. Is that what it's called over there, is it?
Crown Prosecution Service,
Yeah, same there, yeah.
Well, isn't that interesting? Crown Prosecution Service.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's right in the name.
Yeah.
Right? We got nobody to blame but ourselves here if we haven't figured this out yet.
Yeah.
Except now we have, so now it's time to hold them accountable. So you contact them and you ask them these very, very simple questions with the understanding that if they don't reply, that they've defaulted. And you're going to let the courts know that they're defaulting and you have agreement that they have no jurisdiction over you. And you're not showing up for any fucking tribunal for summary judgment of a non-existing contract.
Yeah.
And you send that down to the courts when they don't reply. You default them. You let them know. You swear out a certificate of default. I'm certifying that the other party defaulted and they agree with me that they don't have any jurisdiction. So they agree with me. You send that down to the courthouse and have them put that in the court file.
Right.
It's over. It's over.
Yeah, I see, yeah. Just on a practical note, I haven't had much court experience. Like when you say put it into the file, do you physically go down there to the court and like do you pay a filing fee or
No,
stuff?
you can't. And you don't have to pay a filing fee because you're the defendant.
Oh.
Right? They're the accuser, you're the defendant. It doesn't cost you a dime. And you go down to the, it's going to be a summary convictions window, right?
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And you tell the clerk of the court, the guy who's at the front counter, you say, I want you to file these affidavits into the court file, please.
Yeah.
And you probably have a court file number or a charge number. And you let them know what that is.
Oh, I see. So the defendant doesn't need to pay to defend himself.
No, of course not. Not in summary convictions.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep. And then if they keep fucking with you, and the other stuff I'm teaching people is when you finally get tired of this and you issue fines and you charge them for violating your human rights,
Yeah.
right? And you put a fee schedule in place, which is a real contract now. That if they come and they try to force you to do anything, they've violated the terms of your agreement, and they now owe you whatever money you outline in your fee schedule. Now you take that to Queen's Bench, which is common law.
Right. Got it. Yeah.
Where you have a plaintiff and a defendant. You have an injured party who's enforcing a contract, and there's rules, and all you have to do is read Queen's Bench rules.
Yeah.
And there's forms you have to file. And I'm telling people how to get out of having to pay the filing fee of $240, which is what we've got over here.
Right.
Right, which is getting to be simple, but we haven't just done it yet. It's still in theory, but for some reason, because of whatever level I understand this stuff, whatever theory I come up with, about 99.9% of the time, is completely correct.
Right. Yeah. Queen's
So
Bench.
now it'll get easy.
So over here, that's a division of the High Court. Is that the same there?
Yeah, because well, you guys have the high court, but then you also have summary convictions, I think it's called,
Well,
or county court. It's called county court.
magistrates is the summary place where most like traffic tickets get dealt
Yeah,
with.
okay, magistrates court, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you will have Queen's Bench.
Yeah, Queen's Bench as a division of the High Court.
Yeah, which is where you take your lawsuits, right?
Yeah, I guess so. So that's like a proper court with full scope and full jurisdiction to be able to hear anything. Is
If
that right?
if you can find the Queen's Bench Act, or whatever act it's called that created that court,
Right.
you will find that the word common law is probably mentioned every seventh word.
Right. I
And
see.
who's the defender of the common law?
I guess Her Majesty House of Windsor, the woman.
Queen Elizabeth is the defender of the common law. So if they're violating your common law rights in that court by the judge colluding with the crown to fuck you over and not award you judgment,
Yeah,
who do you contact?
the Queen. I'm not sure.
She has a private secretary called Christopher Geit. You contact him, you let them know that the courts are completely colluding to deprive you of your common law rights. And you send them This is going down the road when you've tried suing them in Queen's Bench and the judge completely fucks you over,
Yeah,
which is going to happen. Then, when that happens, then you contact the Queen and you send Christopher Geit, her private secretary, who probably has 2,000 lawyers working underneath him. Like, obviously, he's not going to read this. They've got whole legal departments, right?
right,
Because really, her Queen Elizabeth is an institution of her own.
right. Yeah,
And they'll have the same amount of lawyers and an organization below them to deal with this stuff that any other organization would.
right. Yeah,
Right? So now that's where you take your common law grievance.
yeah.
But you don't do that until you've exhausted all your remedies.
I see. Yeah, yeah,
Yep. And feel free to let the judges know, by the way, that if they fuck you over in your common law rights, that you're going to be taking this to the defender of the common law. And you're going to take a criminal complaint about them to the defender of the common law, to Queen Elizabeth, who swore an oath to uphold God's law and the common law.
All
And
right.
she fucking will. You better believe she will. Or she's now in breach of trust.
Yeah, yeah. I see. Does it actually say common law in her oath?
As far as I haven't actually read the oath, but I know she's bound to uphold God's law, and I know that she's known as the defender of common law.
Oh, I see. I didn't know
The
that.
defender of the common law. I'm sure I could find a resource for that somewhere.
Right.
Right? So everybody thinks that because they've got the words Her Majesty at the top of all these statutes and shit that government is passing, they think it's actually Queen Elizabeth, and they think that she's in breach of her office by enacting man-made legislation in violation of God's law. It's not her. It's the corporation of the inner city of London. She's got nothing to do with this shit.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, how much of a mind fuck is that?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah.
And it's all provable because you just said when you enter the inner city, it says right in there, the Corporation of London.
Let me send it to you right now on Skype.
Yeah, yeah, I know, and it's got the dragon and everything. I even know the symbol with the Templar symbols in it, right? I haven't opened it yet.
All right.
Does it have the Templar plus like red crosses
Yeah,
on each side?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, now I'm going to open it.
yeah.
And you'll see I'm doing that. So save as, hang on. Desktop.
Corporation
even
of
open it.
London.
Yeah, and it's got the Templar symbols, correct?
I don't know what that is. That's the Red Cross, is it?
That's the red cross on each side. I think it goes across the dragon and up the wings.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, it hasn't downloaded yet. I'm going to have a look at it here when it does. Okay, well, that's what the crown is.
The corporation.
The corporation. That's the crown that's coming after you. Do you really think that you injured Queen Elizabeth somehow?
No.
No. It's not Queen Elizabeth coming after you in the courts.
Wow.
There you go.
Sneaky
There's the Templar cross. Even at the top through the dragon, the red parts there. There you go. Corporation of London. That is Her Majesty.
That is so devious, isn't it, to call it Her Majesty?
Your fucking rights it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's deliberate, isn't it?
It's very deliberate, but it's legal.
Yeah.
Now I'd like to know the translation of that. Domin nos dirige? I don't even know what that is.
Domin. Is it Dominos Dirige? Is it? Let me type it in Google and see.
Yeah, there you go. See what that brings up. But
Dirige.
if that isn't a Knight Templar shield, then I don't know what is.
Dominos. There you go. Wikipedia, City of London. Dominos. Domin Dirige Nos. Lord, direct, guide us. Lord, direct us.
Interesting.
Lord, direct us. Yeah.
Now it depends on who their lord is.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you right now, their lord is Mammon.
Mammon?
Mammon. That's money.
Oh, yeah, I see. So who do you reckon owns that corporation then, the City of London?
Who the fuck knows? I guarantee you that Queen Elizabeth may be a very large shareholder of it.
I see, yeah.
I don't know, but I guarantee it's also the Freemasons and whatever group is ultimately secretly controlling the world. That's the corporation they're using to do it. By subverting the name of Her Majesty, using that, and then creating, again, even the United States is under that, right?
I didn't know that, but I've heard that it is, but I don't know why exactly.
Yeah, no, it completely is. They're all sub-corporations of this corporation.
Oh, right.
That is the corporation.
So this must be registered somewhere.
Well, it's its own sovereign nation. It's registered with itself.
Oh, I see, yeah, of course.
Every other corporation on the planet is registered with them.
Oh, I see, yeah, this is not incorporated under some other entity.
No,
this is the
that's
top
it.
of the tree.
That's the top of that tree.
Yeah.
But here's the only difference. Your legal person is the top of your tree. And it's not under them.
Let me think about that. My legal person...
You're your own sovereign.
I see. Do you mean like as in my estate type of thing?
Your estate, correct.
Got it. Yeah, and that's not like you say that we're the top. We're only one under God, the same as they are type of thing.
Yes.
We're not under them.
Your legal person, your agent in commerce, the all capital letter name that's created, they can use that to interact with you, but they don't have jurisdiction over it. They can only gain jurisdiction over it by contracting with it.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's yours. It's sovereign, and it's your agent in commerce, your vessel, your commercial vessel to use to engage in commerce around the world with whoever you want. And that's your common law right, is to engage in commerce with whoever you choose to engage in commerce with.
Yeah.
Now that's where it starts to get exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And so private business and private trade is not taxable to anyone, right?
Fuck no. It's the same as here in Canada, where it says that Canada only has jurisdiction over its own business.
Yeah.
Its own business is described in their own laws as anything performing a function of government.
Right.
Of course they only have jurisdiction over their own business. Their business is their business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they have to make you believe that your business is their business as well.
Yeah, so that gives the clue away that any taxable income is a function of government.
Yep, you have to make that while performing a function of government. That's the same as, say, working for Coca-Cola. And Coca-Cola says, okay, guys, we're going to start deducting 10% of your paycheck to go into a retirement fund for you.
Yeah.
Problem is, if you don't work for Coca-Cola, what has that got to do with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't work for the inner city Crown Corporation of London.
Yeah. Wow, God. They got...
If you're claiming I do, produce the contract and produce the payroll records.
Yeah. I hear people saying that we need to get away from commerce and stuff, but my outlook is that everything is commerce, like all interaction is...
Of course, we have to get away from their commerce.
Yeah.
Because their commerce has their rules attached to it.
Yeah, I see.
And if I'm going to work with somebody, it's going to be by my rules.
Yeah.
that's kind of the message of everything I'm teaching people with putting these terms between us and them and saying, no, I only work on these terms and this is my fee schedule.
Yeah.
And a fee schedule is nothing more than saying, if you want me to build a fence for you, it's going to cost this much. If you want me to build a house for you, it's going to cost this much.
Yeah.
I don't work for your rates. I will tell you what my rates are, and if you like them, contract with me. If you don't, fuck off and find someone who will.
Yeah.
Right? And your human rights are no different than building a deck for somebody. If you want to force me to do something, if you come and throw a chain on my neck and force me to build a deck for you, whether you do it by force or whether we do it by agreement, it's going to cost you the same amount of money. Because by forcing me to do it, you've agreed to the terms of my offer.
Yeah.
So you owe me money, fuckface.
And that's now contract. That's now an issue of contract, isn't it?
That is now a contract issue, and now you're taking them to Queen's Bench, which is common law court.
Yeah, which is where contract issues are heard.
Which is where contract issues are heard. Correct.
Wow.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot to talk about in the next couple of weeks now on online.
Yeah, I am. There's a lot of things I need to go and read up about there. But that makes sense, though, overall. That was crystal clear.
That does make, it almost makes too much sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So now you tell me how difficult your argument with the Crown is going to be now.
I follow the logic. I need a little bit of practical experience.
You're going to need to sit on that for a couple of days and let it consolidate and go through a couple of holy fuck moments.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot to take in all at once, but that's the case. And the funny part is all our research in Canada has uncovered this, going all the way back to the UK.
Wow. And how are people getting on over there? Are people, it's like, do you hear kind of, regular kind of success stories and stuff?
Yeah, people are starting to get their bravery back here. They're starting to grow some balls again. There's always been a pretty large group of us that have been fighting, but over the last 10 years, a lot of people gave up because it really seemed to go nowhere until now. And now people are realizing, oh shit, we do have remedy. It is available to us. And now we know how to go after it. And now that we understand what's going on, because, I mean, a lot of the stuff I talk about is news to people, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And people are like, fuck, man, I can't believe how simple this is. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah. Well, I think that's great about the way you explain things. I think a whole lot of us have just been looking at things just in a complicated way, and not really seeing the truth through the trees, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Actually, I think Max even said that. Max said everybody's always looking for a complicated answer, and he said to me, he goes, but for some reason it takes a genius to come along and say, no, look, you've been looking at the solution. It's this little simple thing right here, but you're trying to look past that to find what's behind it.
Yeah.
There's nothing behind it. This is it.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the little red ball that makes it bounce.
I really feel that pretty soon, over the next year or two, there's going to be more and more people joining up all the dots and making it happen and getting their remedy and making it work. I reckon at some point there's going to be like a tipping point, where it just, everyone's doing it kind of thing. Uh-huh.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to do some kind of a little radio thing where we go over everything that we just talked about right now.
Sure.
That probably wouldn't be a bad idea, because I think that if a bunch of people in the UK finally realized that, I actually thought you guys knew this stuff.
No, actually, my Skype records this anyway. Like, I wouldn't have put it up without your permission, but this is recorded anyway. Or we could.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so I could put it up. I've recorded this.
Yeah, no, please you actually have my permission to put this out.
Great, cool. Yeah. I wouldn't have done it without your permission, but yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This just needs to be out there. This kind of information. I mean, it's not like we're uncovering something, that like, oh man, like they're gonna come and kill you now. I mean, no, there's signs up around London. This is the sovereign state right here.
Yeah.
It's a sovereign state, and it is a crown corporation known as the Crown. Yeah. I don't care what country in the world you are in. If you are an IMF nation and you have courts where someone like the state or the crown's coming after you, It all goes back to that.
Yeah. Wow. Cool. Right. People need to hear this. Then we can all go away and study what you just said and go and implement
Yeah.
it and look it
Oh
up and
yeah.
stuff.
Go dig it up and have somebody that has some charges that are pending contact the Crown and ask them that. Say, excuse me, you call yourself the Crown. Could you please clarify which Crown? Are
Yeah.
you representing Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth of the House of Windsor, who's sworn to uphold the common law and God's law? Or are you the Crown Corporation known as the independent nation city-state of London?
Right. And they can't answer that question, so they're going to have to go silent.
Yeah, and just say, based on your actions, I'm guessing you're this Crown Corporation, because I really don't think that I've injured Queen Elizabeth in some way.
Yeah.
To say, so if that's who you are, then I need to see a contract between our two parties, please.
Yeah.
Well, you've just destroyed their entire case. It's done.
And then you, like you said, you then go back to the court and say, look, I sent them this, they didn't respond, and you put the appropriate terms and conditions in there so that they know if they don't respond, then
Yep.
they've lost by default.
You want to phrase it in a way that you can prove that you have agreement with
Yeah.
your adversary. Agree with thine adversary quickly, lest he drag you before the magistrate and turn you over to the jailer. Okay?
Yeah.
Agreement doesn't mean you agree with whatever they say. Agreement means you get them to agree with you that they have no claim against you by not providing the contract. Great, we have agreement. So you let the courts know that. Hey, there's no need for a hearing. I have agreement with the Crown that they have no jurisdiction because they can't produce a contract.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes. And do you need to kind of motion the court to dismiss
Absolutely. Motion to dismiss.
it? Right. I think I heard you tell that story. Was it your
Yeah.
brother that did that or something?
Yeah, he was it was my bad. I told him to quash, but there was no motion to quash. It was the charges before the court, so it was to dismiss. So they didn't, and that was even Queen's Bench. That wasn't even summary conviction
Right.
because there was no contract to enforce either there, and he wasn't allowing arbitration in his case. So they didn't know what to do with him, and that's all gone away. So if he had just said motion to dismiss, and the other party didn't dispute it, because they can't, they have to produce evidence. There's another thing people have to realize, that these Crown prosecutors, these lawyers, they can't testify. They can only produce evidence and facts in court. If they're saying anything that they haven't provided a fact or evidence for, then you have to object. Object to that. Objection. Crown is testifying. Objection. He's testifying without any facts or evidence. Have him take the stand or be sworn in. Objection. Strike everything he said from the record because he has no facts or evidence of that in his filings.
Oh, I see. And then if you don't object, then it goes.
You've agreed.
You've agreed, right? So most of us, the mistake we make is we don't object to what they're doing properly.
Of course.
Right.
Of course. And if you don't object, then what's the guy sitting on the bench? What's he going to do?
Nothing.
And it's not his duty to tell you anything,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. With these few little things, people could walk into court with an arsenal and just fucking destroy people in there.
Yeah. This is what I've been spending my time trying to learn recently. I think it obviously it's knowledge that you've had for a while because you've had a lot of experience with court and stuff. But recently I've been trying to learn about just the way I'm new to it all, the way the court works, the procedure, how to motion and things like that.
Yep.
And I think once a lot of the free man sovereign community catches up with on that side of things, how to just the practical things of how to move the court, then I think a lot of us are going to be able to implement our position more effectively,
Yeah, and when you motion the court's working for you now.
Right.
It's your motion before the court. They're working for you, right? And if the Crown ever tries to motion a court to strike your motion because it's frivolous and vexatious or something else stupid like that, right? Then you just object right away and say, objection. He's offered no facts or evidence for that.
Right.
He's offered no facts or evidence that it's frivolous or vexatious. So I want his stricken from the record with prejudice, so he can't bring that up again.
I see. And does all this have to be done with a hearing, or can motions and objections
No.
be done just with paperwork? Or what?
Motions can be done with paperwork, of course, but then the hearing is where it's heard,
Oh, I
right?
see.
But if you deal with it in advance by doing what I said before there, by contacting the Crown and establishing who they are and that they don't have a contract, when you contact the Crown, the court, all you have to do is say the Crown has agreed with me that there's no need for a hearing, so cancel it because we have agreement that they don't have any jurisdiction over me in the first place.
And then the judge is doing a summary decision in your favor because the facts are decided.
Of course, he has to decide in your favor.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's now damaging you. He's now assuming liability.
Yeah, yeah. There's nothing in dispute. So your paperwork shows there's nothing. There's no facts to try.
Yep.
Because the record shows that they've agreed, and there's nothing to the contrary sort of thing.
There you go. And you're the only one that can swear out an affidavit or produce any facts of any relevance. Why? Because you're a man and they're a corporation.
Right.
So they are fucked. They are fucked no matter what they do.
I see. Yeah, that never occurred to me before. Yeah, a corporation can't make an affidavit, can they?
No, of course not. So this is why people have to understand where our power comes from, and that's why people have heard it before, and they're just like, oh yeah, I've heard that before. You know, when you'll understand the power you have when you understand who you are.
Yeah.
Clearly, I know who I am, and that's why I know the power we have in the courts. When you do things properly, obviously there's still some procedure we got to follow, or it would just be chaos. But the best thing you can do is get agreement with your adversary before you go to court. Before.
Yeah, that's like
Not
Winston
at
says,
court.
isn't it?
Of course, agree with him before he drags you before the magistrate. Well, guess what? You're given 3 weeks to a month to do that before your first hearing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're not doing it, you're lazy.
I don't exactly understand. Why can't the prosecuting attorney do an affidavit? I don't quite understand.
Because he has no first-hand knowledge of the facts, number one.
Right.
Because he's a legal fiction. He doesn't exist. He's a corporation. He's a corporate entity. And he has no standing in the matter whatsoever.
Right.
He's not a man in court. He's a corporation. Point at him and say that. Say, this guy is a corporation.
Right.
And he has no contract with me.
I don't quite get it. I haven't quite grasped why.
You will.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to sit on that for a few days and roll it around in your head and do some more research and maybe even listen to this a couple of times.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a lawyer. He's a lawyer. Right? He's
Yeah.
a licensed legal fiction. He cannot give testimony. He cannot testify. He can only present facts and evidence to the court unless you allow him to testify.
Right. Yeah. I see. Yeah, I'll need to ponder that a bit, I think.
Yeah, that's why they spout off a bunch of nonsense and bullshit for 10, 15 minutes, and then they produce no facts backing it.
And like you said, if they want to do that and present information, you want to get them on the stand under oath or whatever it's called.
Which they can't even do. That's the catch-22 to the situation. They can't take the stand and give evidence.
Right.
They have no first-hand knowledge of the event.
Yeah. Yeah, that does kind of make sense now. Yeah.
Yeah. Even their witnesses don't have any first-hand knowledge of the event, because their witnesses are claiming, like a cop claiming you did something, right? Then the Crown is claiming that that's in violation of a contractual obligation, where you said you wouldn't do that according to this statute. Problem is, there's no contract.
Yeah.
So now that cop has just admitted to harming your human rights.
Yes, I see. Yeah, yeah, but with no contract in the way where you agree to do certain things, then there's he's violated your human rights by basically kidnapping
Just
you.
provided all the testimony you would ever need to take him to Queen's Bench and sue the shit out of him. So that's why you want to go get full disclosure from the Crown.
Yeah.
Because they're going to give you the sworn statements, alleged sworn statements by these people that physically harmed you.
Yeah, I see. So their own witness statements, or whatever they're called, they're testifying against themselves in the end.
Yep. And you let the Crown know that this isn't a private matter now either. Because I think I spoke about that in one of the videos, about how these summary convictions hearings are internal tribunals. They're private. They're considered to be private law society or bar association tribunals.
Yeah.
So you let them know in advance, no, this is a matter of public record, and I'm going to be making this all a matter of public record. Well,
Yeah.
they're not going to want to go anywhere near you. They're not going to want to fuck you with a stolen dick now.
Right. So that's where the court of record at law idea comes in. I heard you mention that, and
Courts of record are common law.
that's a proper court at law, common law, real court in the truest sense of the word, sort of thing.
There you go.
Yeah, but like you say, they're like they're internal arbitration tribunals. They're like private internal things, but they call them a court anyway.
Yeah, because it's their own internal court.
Yeah.
Right? They'll call it anything they want, but if it was really a common law court, just like Queen's Bench, guess what? It'd be in fucking Queen's Bench.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have a separate court for it.
Yeah.
But they do. That tells you right there's something going on. Also, in Queen's Bench, where you sue somebody, there's no pleas. You don't plead guilty or not guilty. The evidence is provided, and the judge makes a determination.
Right. Yeah.
There's your second clue that something's rotten in Denmark.
So with the plea in the summary thing, what they're really saying is, did you breach the contract or didn't you, kind of thing?
Yeah, and you're entering a plea. You're agreeing now. What happens is when you enter a plea, is you're contracting with the court now. You're agreeing to to independent arbitration, right? And you are waiving all the deficiencies in the Crown's claim against you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're just accepting everything that they're claiming as fact.
Right.
So now you are fucked.
It's such a mind game. It's such a trick, isn't it?
It is all a trick, and that's why none of it really has any bearing. Like, there's always remedy at the very, like, you probably heard stories of people in the United States and Canada that they've even fought with lawyers right to the very end in summary convictions against a criminal charge, and then when the judge hands down the sentence, people say something as simple as, I'm not accepting that.
Right.
And they walk out of there scot-free. Well, that is true, because, again, you have to agree to everything. You have to agree to everything.
Right.
What do you have to say? Like when the judge says, what do you have to say for yourself? Oh, I'm really sorry, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's not what they're trying to establish. What do you have to say for yourself? That's a very good time to say, I have to say that I don't consent to any of this. I'm not agreeing to fuck all. I'm not accepting your conditions.
Yeah. So, like, when they give you the option to plead guilty or innocent or whatever it is, like, in either case, you're agreeing that you're subject to the statute.
Yep.
It's a trick, isn't it?
That's all it is. It's all a giant smokescreen. It's all bullshit. All of it.
Yeah.
Because, again, none of this would actually withstand the light of day if you were to contest it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like all these presumptions, like if you plead guilty or not guilty, then you're now bound by this invisible contract with this court. Okay, well, that may be their presumption, but would that really stand up to scrutiny?
Yeah, that's right. If you sued them for that deception,
yep,
they fold like a tent, wouldn't they? They got
exactly. That's just it. It's a deception, so it wouldn't stand up to a bona fide claim, anyways.
So in theory, you could go straight to Queen's Bench and sue them for this deception, in theory.
Absolutely, and we should be.
Yeah, yeah.
They have no contract with me, but they just tried to enforce it in something called summary convictions. They tried to throw me in jail when there wasn't even a contract. Who the fuck are these people?
And at common law, that's a kidnap and everything.
That is a tort. Absolutely, that is a massive tort.
Yeah.
Trying to enforce a contract that doesn't exist in their own fraudulent internal tribunals? Holy shit!
Yeah, major human rights violation, isn't it?
Major!
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So this is what people need to start realizing and waking up and realizing the bigger picture of what's going on here, and they're going to realize that it's beating a traffic ticket in summary convictions is nothing. Look at what's really going on here.
Yeah.
And let's wake up to it, and let's get people reading these Queen's Bench rules and suing people and having the judges who are, they will fuck you over. They will conspire with the Crown. And by Crown, I mean the Crown Corporation. They will conspire with the Crown because that's one of their brothers in the Law Society. They will conspire you to harm your human rights, your common law rights. And purposely not enforce the contract you have with this Crown Corporation, but then you have a damage you can now take to the defender of the common law.
Right.
right? All these people, all these members of the Bar Association conspired in your court building and denied me access to justice. They denied me remedy. They abused my common law rights. And you take that claim to the person who's supposed to be enforcing the common law. And I don't think they're going to look very lightly on the situation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's just not very few of us, or none of us yet, have actually taken it that far. That's the only thing, isn't it?
Yep. Could you imagine if all the people that were involved in the riots decided they just wanted to spend a couple evenings a week learning their rights instead of rioting?
Yeah, exactly.
And learn this stuff and start to enforce it? Well, England would change overnight.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need riots and burning stores to the ground.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree. And I agree with you when you say, I've been saying this for a while now, we need to be suing these people. I've been saying that for 6 months to all my crowd over here in England.
Yep.
You know, if they've done something, sue them for it, you know?
Absolutely. Worst case, you're going to tie them up with so many lawsuits that they're just going to get bogged down. The same thing they do to us when they just bombard us with paperwork, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I think even on one of the last radio interviews, I talked about that. I mean, that was one of the things. I think Derek brought that up there when he said that that's one of the things the Nazis said, is they got away with everything because nobody complained.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't think that the Germans had the right to access the courts?
Right.
Back then, even when the National Socialist Party was in power, they were all about the rights of the working class. That was their big thing.
Yeah.
Right? Complain if you don't like something.
Yeah. Yeah.
In writing, certified, sworn affidavit, complaint, and then go and enforce it in Queen's Bench.
Yeah.
Because your adversary cannot file a statement of defense. They cannot swear out an affidavit to rebut yours.
Yeah.
They cannot. They're fucked.
Yeah.
The only way they can get around that is to get a judge to collude and conspire with them, and then you got a claim against all of them that you will then take to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth of the House of Windsor, who will uphold the common law.
Yeah. That is crystal clear now. So I can see it crystal clear in my mind now. You got the actual woman, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, like you say, upholder of the common law, basically. And then you've got this kind of leech kind of hanging off the side of the whole thing, which is the Crown Corporation.
Yes.
Which is the thing that's going round running riot, kind of, you know.
Yeah, all over the world, getting people to allegedly contract with it, but they're not real contracts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just pulling the greatest scam that mankind has ever known over the people of the earth.
They're just implying everything, and nobody's objecting, and they're just getting away with it. And
yep, they're operating on presumptions, and we're just going right along with it.
And if anybody's going to end up listening to this, you know, on YouTube or whatever, I just want to make it crystal clear something you already said, that like these lower level magistrates courts is like the Queen's Bench is a proper court at law, which is what most of us think of a proper common law court type of thing. But these magistrates things, summary conviction courts, are like internal courts that only really apply to internal business under the jurisdiction of is that right, Dean? Have I got that right?
Absolutely, you just said it completely correctly.
Right. So if we're even showing up there and going down there and saying, yes, you know, I was speeding, or no, I wasn't, or arguing with the judge and saying you haven't got a right to do this, you know, we're already in their venue kind of thing.
Yes.
We're already fucked before we even get, you know, just the fact we're even there is already a problem kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say the fact you're there would give them the ability to operate on the presumption that you've consented to their jurisdiction, but it's never, ever too late to rebut that.
Yeah.
Like, you can show up there and say, yeah, guess what? I'm guilty of the facts. I was going 55 in a 50 zone. What the fuck is that to you?
Yeah.
Right? Who are you? What does it matter? I don't have a contract with these people saying that I agreed to go only 50 on the public roads that I already own.
Yeah, show me the contract kind of thing.
Show me the contract because you got to remember, it's liability issues. What they're claiming is that you're operating under this Crown Corporation's liability that while you're out on the roads conducting commerce for them, you have to abide by these speed rules to limit their liability in case you damage somebody.
Ah, yeah, because if they're insuring you, then they've got the right to tell you what to do, kind of thing.
Exactly. Now, the only problem is if I'm not doing business for them, then I don't have to abide by their rules.
Yeah.
But the presumption stands when you produce a driver's license, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
then you never then go on to say, well, yeah, of course I've got this license, so I'm licensed to conduct business as this corporation or with them should I choose to, but I never have. There's no contract. I never agreed to.
Yeah.
I have the ability to, but I've never done it.
Yes, I see. Yeah, yeah. So in many ways, it would be cleaner and simpler if you didn't have a license, if there was no plates on the car and no insurance and nothing on the car.
Absolutely, and that's where I tell people to contact whatever you people have over there, like an attorney general or
Yeah.
whoever it is. It would be the top legal dog for this corporation, and say, hey, I've just realized that I never, ever, ever want to conduct commerce or perform a function of your organization. Conduct commerce as a function of your corporation or perform a function of your corporation. So I'm just going to access the public roads with my own private plate and utilize my already existing common law right to access the roads and drive. I'm going to give you 10 days to send me to send me a lawful excuse as to why you claim that I can't do this.
Yeah.
Now, when they don't reply, you've got all the proof you need that you can and do have the right. And then feel free to contact the Queen as well. Say, hey, do I not have the right to access the public roads without a license and without a license plate and without a driver's license?
Right.
Isn't that an already existing inherent common law right?
Yeah. And of course, they're not going to respond, so they're going to agree by silence. And
Yep, they're going to agree by silence.
yeah.
Then let them know you're going to do that, and then you expect them to do their job of upholding your God-given rights when the time comes when this Crown Corporation comes after you.
Yeah. I actually kind of pretty much did that, but my knowledge I actually sent them a notice and said I'm going to be exercising my right, and I had a little motorbike which was just basically like a kid's motorbike with it wasn't registered, nothing. And I did it as an experiment and ended up getting arrested. But, I haven't followed it up on the back end now to go and sue them, like we've been discussing. So that's kind of the next bit that I need to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
that'll go a long ways towards helping. Now, the biggest part was differentiating between the two crowns.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I've got a question there. How does the government, in terms of the United Kingdom of Great Britain, what is that exactly?
Shit, I wish I knew.
Right.
It's also cloak and dagger. I tell people that in some of the videos too about, again, a lot of the stuff I'm talking about are their presumptions and they're very accurate guesses, very accurate guesses, or deductions I've made and everything else. But really, at some point, we have to stop trying to presume what the other side is doing and stop caring what they're doing. All I can do is make a plain statement of facts that I have inherent human rights, I've got God-given rights, and I'm going to exercise those. And whoever you people are, and I don't give a fuck who you are, if you're claiming I can't do it, then I'm going to give you time to provide a lawful excuse as to why you're claiming I don't have human rights, or God-given rights, or the right to travel on the roads without one of your fucking licenses. Aside from that, I don't give a shit who you are. But I'll tell you right now, you're not going to trample on my God-given rights.
Yeah. I was reading the Universal Declaration of Human Rights last week, and it's quite encouraging, actually. I didn't realize.
Yeah. You know what, though? It just states what's already existing. That's why I don't even like to rely on that document.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Right? And some people hate religion, right? And so that's why I give them the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Or I like to go all the way back to, I sent you that link for the Charter of Liberties there from Henry I.
Yeah.
I love that one. In fact, I think I sent a notice to someone here in Canada, the Receiver General or the Attorney General in Canada, asking if the Charter of Liberties by Henry I is still in full force and effect, because one of the points in there is that he orders a strict peace to be maintained throughout his kingdom.
All right.
So these people are breaching the peace.
Yeah.
So isn't that something that Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth of the House of Windsor should be looking into if these people are breaching the peace?
Yeah.
Has anybody ever sent a complaint that there's been a breach of the peace? They don't just act because there's been a breach of the peace. There has to be a complaint first.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's basically what we're all not doing, isn't it?
No one's doing it. No, we're not doing our jobs.
Mm.
We're sitting back waiting for these fuckhead corporation people to do what we believe is their jobs, which is conduct be a government and respect our rights.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not their job.
Yeah.
Your job is to enforce your rights, no one else's.
Yeah. 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 Need to assert them and enforce them.
Yeah, if you don't assert or enforce your rights, you have none.
Yeah. 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 Wow. That makes perfect sense. So I'm going to study that. What was it? The Henry the First thing?
Yeah, I love that charter. I mean, it may have been rescinded. I don't know. I don't think so, though. But
Right.
I know it was the precursor to the Magna Carta.
Right.
So, because I've heard these dumb arguments before, people are like, "Oh, the Magna Carta has no force and effect because 3 years before that, what's his face there? Who's King? Which one was it that signed the charter? Sorry, the Magna Carta.
Um, I'm not sure.
Was that Henry III or William or one of those? I
It was
can't
King
remember
John,
right now.
I think.
King John. Oh, there, yeah, that was it, I think. Apparently 3 years before that, he had granted all the lands of England to the Pope,
Oh, right.
right?
Yeah.
Well, sorry, but if you go back 100 years before that, King Henry I had already legislated in the Charter of Liberties. So it was not his. So King John had no authority to grant all those lands to the Pope.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you want to go for a tit-for-tat argument with people about who had what jurisdiction and authority, well,
Yeah.
you can go 100 years before that.
And like you said, if something is not clear, then we can just declare what our understanding is and let them bring forth a rebuttal sort of thing.
There you go. So now we're the ones operating on presumption.
Yeah.
And we're leaving it for them to dispute the presumption with facts or their own claim.
Yeah.
I love operating on presumptions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm presuming that that you know that I know that you're full of fucking shit. That's my presumption.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where the idea of the notice of understanding kind of comes in, I suppose, doesn't it?
Well, that's more of a contract. That's saying, no, if you want me to build a deck, this is how much money it's going to be. So whether you come and put a chain around my neck and force me to do it, or I just do it voluntarily, it's going to cost you the same amount of money. The only difference is I'm going to turn around and sue you for violating my human rights by actually harming me.
Yeah.
So, and that's, I think I told that story about my brother with the RCMP there or whatever, where he basically said, well, no, if you want me in the back of your cruiser, it's going to cost you $1 million. And the guy said, well, no, I'm going to force you. I'm going to put you in the back of my cruiser. And that's when he said, well, he goes, I don't care how I wind up in the back of your cruiser, whether I do it voluntarily or whether you force me. If I wind up in the back of it, that just cost you $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they didn't want him in the back of the cruiser anymore at that point.
I really like the one, you were telling the story and they said, how does a fine of $50 sound? And you said, it sounds like something I'm not going to pay.
Yeah. I say, yeah, it sounds like $50 too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was after 9 criminal code charges. I've got all the paperwork in the world for that right now, and I wasn't even making the right arguments, but I was able to do a couple of the right things.
Yeah.
And now that I look back, the right things that I did was after every hearing, I swore out an affidavit of everything that happened in the hearing.
Yeah.
And filed it into the court record. So I was inadvertently making it a public record.
Right.
A court of public record.
I see.
So now they knew they were violating my human rights.
Yeah, I see. So you actually, I see. You wrote out the affidavit and went down to the court and put that in the record in the
At
public.
the end of every day I went home, I typed up my account of what happened.
Yeah.
And I went down to the courthouse in the morning. I had the clerk of the court notarize it and put it in the court record, and then I got a copy right back out, a certified copy back out.
I
And the
see.
judges now knew that everything they were doing was a matter of public record.
Right. So they know they're not going to be able to get away with trampling over you because it's all on the record. Yeah.
So 9 criminal code, it was 9 charges later. I think 5 of them were criminal code, 4 of them were traffic offenses or failure to appear for fingerprinting and other nonsense. They ended up, they found me, they convicted me. They found me guilty of the facts.
Right.
Right? And yeah, you're right. It's a fact I didn't show up for fingerprinting. Yeah, you're right. I didn't show up at court. Absolutely, that's a fact. My argument was I was under no obligation to.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. I was sitting in this chair for the last hour. Yeah, you're right. I didn't see any law. I didn't see any proof that I wasn't supposed to be sitting in that chair for an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. I see. Yeah.
Right? So they found me guilty of the facts, and they were very explicit about that. And I tried to plead guilty to the facts for 3 days. I said, I'm ready to plead guilty to the facts right now. And what they said is completely true. That doesn't remove the problem here that I was under no obligation to do anything they were telling me to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when they found me guilty of the facts, which I said, yeah, okay, great. I offered to plead guilty to the facts for 3 days now. What's your point? Congratulations. Clap, clap, clap. And I'm clapping, and I'm being a smartass, and they knew I wasn't scared of them at all. And they're like, well, we have to give you the minimum of $50 fine or something like that. And I was just said, are you fucking serious? I said, I've got parking tickets worth more than that. You guys have wasted 5 years of my life over this? And then I think I even had a loony on me, a $1 coin. I pulled it out and I said, you know what? I don't care if you ask me for $1. And I have $1 with me. I'm still not paying it. Are we done? Because I'm leaving.
And what actually happened? What was the upshot?
I don't know. I think they actually tried coming after me for the $50 through a collection agent or something. I don't know. I don't care.
Right. But the bottom line is you didn't end up, getting dragged into prison or something like that.
No, absolutely not. And the minimum sentence they were looking for was 2 years.
Oh, right. They wanted to put you in prison.
Oh, yes, they did. And I've got the original charges here where the Crown was asking for up to 2 years.
Oh, I see. So they're trying to put you in prison and they just couldn't get a grip on you, basically.
They couldn't get nothing, and they knew they were violating my human rights. They knew they had no contract, even though I was very sloppy with the way I did it. Now, here's the great part. I've got recourse today. So now that I do know what's going on, I fully intend on going back.
Yeah.
And now I'm taking them into civil court.
Is that the Queen's Bench thing?
That is Queen's Bench, where common law is supreme.
Right.
And I am going to rip them a new assholes. So you always have remedy. All you have to do is express the injury. You can go back as far as you want.
Yeah.
Especially if you've been convicted of something in the past and there was a fraud, because you got to remember their entire process is a fraud. You can go back and you can correct it, because it's never too late to correct a fraud.
Oh, I
ever.
see. Yeah. Wow.
So there's some monstrous power that people have here that people had better start learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because flash mobs and burning businesses to the ground are not their true power.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's right. I agree with what you said, because in a funny sort of way, I can understand those people's frustration, but they don't know. Like, we've got a vocabulary to discuss these things, but the only thing they know how to do is just to smash stuff up and burn stuff. But I can kind of relate. They probably got the same frustration we do, just in a different way, kind of thing. So I agree with what you say. If they knew how to move a court case or sue somebody in Queen's Bench, holy shit,
Oh yeah, the game would be over overnight. It's like V for Vendetta times a million.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So I think maybe that's why the message is getting broadcast so fast this time, and why people are getting so interested, because it's simple. It really is this simple.
Yeah, yeah, it makes perfect sense. The way the big picture of what you've been describing makes crystal clear sense.
Yeah, people can fill in the details all they want. They can do their own research, but this is what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now you're free to make whatever choice you want about how you're going to attack the problem.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, nice. Very cool. I can't wait to get this online.
Yeah, please send me a link to it. Sometimes I like to hear, I re-listen to my interviews to see if I made any mistakes. Sometimes I'll misquote something, or I'll say something where it sounds like I might have just kind of completely contradicted something I said 20 minutes ago. Yeah. So I like to go back to see if I've actually done that, so I can correct it sometimes. But
yeah, we get the main thrust though. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you've got time for. Could I just ask a question?
Oh, please, by all means.
One of my friends was really getting his knickers in a twist over something you said he was saying Dean Clifford's not right. He said that you've got the executor and then the trustee separately and the beneficiary, and he's got it wrong. And I don't really know. It, like, do you have any comment regarding that?
I do. Here's the thing. I'm trying to convert trust law into a simple form of corporate law
Right.
so that people can get the concept in their head.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Now, there's all sorts of different trust relationships. There's a billion type of trust relationships. A trust relationship is just whatever two people make a trust relationship to be, right?
Right.
So there's all sorts of different types of trust law. So I'm not trying to be like, no, this is the final word on the subject. I'm trying to convert the idea of the express trust, which is what a legal person is, into terms people can understand, which is corporate law. I always found was the easiest. That's what helped me break it down, and that was the investor, and then the directors of the corporation, and then the employees.
Right.
So that was just for simplification purposes. If the details of what I'm describing don't jive to certain people, then, like I said, fill in the details. I'm just giving you the big picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and absolutely don't ever take anything I say as gospel. Please go look it up. But if I'm wrong about any of the main points that I've made today, I would love to see it, because it's just not possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Bring it. Right. Oh, cool. Nice one, Dean.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the opportunity to get out there and just because I'm just so tired of people doing nothing or trying to make overly complicated arguments. I want this stuff out there, and you guys are the epicenter of this problem. You're right in the fucking city where this Crown Corporation was created. So I mean, the UK, Canada, and Australia are in a very good position because we're sister nations.
Yeah.
All our laws are almost completely identical, and we all have Crown attorneys and Crown, everything's called the Crown is coming after us.
Yeah.
So everything that I'm talking about is completely, almost synonymous with what you can do in Australia, possibly even New Zealand, I believe, and definitely the UK.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. It's perfect. I just love, I really love doing, calls like this, and then, like an interview and putting it on YouTube, because to me, I know that so many people are going to listen to it, and then they're going to get inspired by it and go away and experiment and try things, and they're going to come back and, and tell stories about what worked or what happened or what didn't work.
Oh man, yeah, please tell me stories of and I've received some emails already of some stories where people did some tactics like this and it worked perfectly, just like I said it was going to. But yeah, don't take my word as gospel on this. I'm not fucking, I'm not Gandhi or nothing. Go out and work off of this stuff now and find your own path. But we know, like I say, based on the points I've given today, especially talking to you, and this just started out as a friendly chat that I guess is now going to go online. We know what's going on. Yeah. We know who's who. We know who we are. We know who they are. We know who Queen Elizabeth is. We know who these parties are and who they all represent and what they're all supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So now let's act on that and start to make everything public and go after these people and hold them accountable.
Yeah. Nice. Wicked.
So it's
awesome.
A big flashlight to shine on a fucking big shadow of bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Oh, well, thanks for speaking to me today, Dean. That's awesome.
It's all good. Give me a shout here on Skype anytime to if you got any more questions. You just like to chat about this stuff. It seems to have taken over my life instead of my construction career. So.
Yeah. That's great. So it's definitely all right if I upload this, yeah?
Oh yeah, I'm proud. I don't think I've said anything that I have to worry about on here. So.
No, I don't think so. That's awesome.
I guess if the independent city of London has a problem with it, then maybe they should change their business practice and do everything fairly like everybody else.
Yeah.
Like I always say, if they want to shoot me, whatever. I'm going to die one day anyways. So.
Yeah, I was quite refreshed when I heard you say that, because it's exactly the same type of thing I say all the time as well. It's like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What are they going to do? They're going to come and kidnap me and torture me, or just blow my head off with a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
Okay. Either way, number one, if they blow my head off with a sniper rifle, I'm not going to know about it.
Yeah.
And number two, if they torture me, I don't give a fuck, because they can only torture me so long in this life.
Yeah.
Okay? But if you don't do what you're supposed to be doing, and if you're not upholding God's law, you're going to suffer for the rest of your fucking life after you die.
Yeah.
So pick it. Which one do you want? Do you want to suffer here for a short duration, or do you want to suffer for eternity?
Yeah.
And I don't think that means you go to hell. I think that means that you come back as a lower form of life on this planet, like maybe a cop or a politician.
Nice. Awesome. Uh,
Okay, yeah, well, it's been good talking with you, Ben. I got to get going here. It's
okay.